Hello, and welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast with me, Lindsay White. I'm passionate about helping female entrepreneurs be great leaders, build high-performing teams, and create inspiring workplace cultures through innovative talent programs and practices. Because when people feel like they belong at work, they deliver their very best and businesses thrive. The Female Founder Friday podcast is all about connecting with the most incredible female entrepreneurs to talk about their journey to creating their own business, the mistakes they've made along the way, and how they view their own leadership. And I'm challenging all of my guests this season to take my leadership style quiz. And during each episode, we'll be digging into their leadership style and how it impacts the way they lead in their life and their business. And if you're interested in learning more about your leadership style and want some of my top tips to help you lead more effectively, you can take the quiz right now. Just check out the show notes or head over to 𝐰𝐢𝐭𝐡leadership.ca and click on the button at the top of the page that says Take the Quiz. Then you can share your results, connect with my guests, and join the conversation on Instagram by following me at 𝐻𝐼𝐿TeLeadership. My guest on today's episode is Desiree Silva, the founder of Keeping It Social. And it was Desiree's deep desire to support her family, combined with her love for business and her stint at Disney, that drew Desiree into the marketing world. But it's her dedication to empowering women entrepreneurs every day that keeps her motivated and her creativity sharp. Now, just before we jump into the episode and learn more, I do want to provide a bit of a warning. Today's conversation with Desiree, we're going to talk about her experiences with domestic violence, and I know that that can be triggering for some. So I really want to encourage you to listen with caution, be really conscious of how you're feeling, and take care of yourself as you listen to this episode. Welcome, Desiree, to the podcast. So glad to have you with me today and have a chance to chat with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Desiree, we've talked a little bit before, and I know you have a really interesting story and a really interesting journey, but I'm excited to learn more about that today. So will you tell us a little bit about your journey to being a female founder?
Yeah, it's not typical. It's not like the typical, oh, I went to school and then this was it. No, in fact, it started with me majoring in biology and business. Originally, my plan was to become an anesthesiologist. Um,
Oh.
but I felt like it wasn't really me that wanted to do medical. Like, I didn't want to be in the medical field. It was
Mm.
more so my parents that pushed it onto me, and rightfully so. I came from a poor background, so we were always trying to keep up with ends meet. And so for them back then, the route was, go to school, get a great job, and then you can be able to financially support yourself.
Right.
And ideally, I didn't want to just support myself. I wanted to support my family. So I'm like, what is the highest paying job that I can get? That
Mm.
way I can make sure that not only me, but my family is secure. So I
Yeah.
went to school for biology and business because I wanted to open up a business once I became a doctor. And I sucked at science. I don't know why I thought that this was a great idea. I mean, I struggled so much in high school. I don't know why I thought that this was the career path for me. And really what I loved the most was business. And so when I saw that there was an internship for Disney, I applied myself. And of course, I didn't think that I was going to get in because one, it's super selective. And two, I have the worst luck in the world. So I'm like, I want to apply for this and see what happens just to get the application process kind of started and see what it's like. That way, next year I can apply and I can probably get it. And it turns out my first time I actually like got accepted and I was super surprised. I'm like, okay, this is meant for me. So I went to Disney and I traveled over there and I took the internship and I expected, some business classes. I know that they had some biology towards like animals for the animals that they have on site. So I'm like, maybe they're gonna give me a mixture of business and biology, because I wasn't going over there for a vacation, so I had to kind of fit with my degree. And I went over there and I got none of that. I just got marketing classes. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. So I started like learning about marketing and graphics and how like colors set moods and all of these things. And I loved it. I was like, this is what I want to do when I get back home. So when I got home, I changed my major, parents were like, what in the world are you doing? This is not like what we had planned. And so I'm like, yeah, I know, but this is it. So fast forward to 2019, I'm leaving my job in corporate because I want to pursue marketing. And I start working with a lot of small businesses, especially during the pandemic, because of the fact that a lot of businesses locally were transitioning from brick and mortar to the online space. And so it was perfect. It was a perfect transition because I was able to directly help them and be able to support them in transitioning
Yeah.
and keep their business afloat. And that was something that meant a lot to me because there was a lot of local businesses before I started my business and really marketing it towards small businesses. I would see their doors close and I'm like, man, like I remember going here with my family and now it's gone, you know. So being able to directly help them was meant a lot. And then fast forward to last year in October, my mother passed away. And she dealt with domestic abuse, but it was something that I kind of didn't really believe at first because she would mention things about my stepfather and her relationship with him, and she would constantly say, you know, I don't feel smart enough to do this. I don't feel like I can leave because she was a stay-at-home mother since I was 2.
Yeah.
And so she was so used to that. And so she's like, I don't have a degree. I didn't graduate high school, don't know anything about like college, and I don't think I can do it. She really felt like she couldn't do it. And so I would always try to get her. I even went one time to register her for school and get like all the paperwork together. But she just got scared. She just felt like she couldn't do it. And so there were times, you know, where I would say, you know, mom, if you want to leave, if you really are unhappy, you can always stay with me. But she would, like I said, I didn't really believe that it was true like domestic violence because she would stay. And me mentally, I couldn't understand why. You know, in my head, I was so naive. I'm like, you know, if you are really in a situation, why don't you just leave? And it was so naive of me thinking, but that's what, I mean, I was young. I was like 17,
Right.
18 years old. So I didn't know any better. And then she passed away. My brothers and my stepfather, they lost their home, and so they didn't have a place to stay. And I'm like, yeah, you can stay with me for sure. I mean, my stepfather, he practically raised me, so I'm like, yeah, of course, without a skip like in my thought. I'm like, go ahead, move in with me. My brothers, of course, too. And that's when things started turning, and it happened so fast because it was like my mother passed away, and then he didn't have anybody else to abuse, so he took his anger out on me and my brothers. And it was so much like narcissism and us not even really grasping the whole concept of it. Is like we were constantly feeling like, you know, maybe we shouldn't be mad at this, or, you know, maybe that wasn't too bad, or maybe he's right, you know, like maybe we're wrong in this whole situation. And it really took some time for me to just be like, you know what, this has to end
Yeah.
and we have to stop. And so I had to lovingly separate myself from that situation, and I took my brothers with me because it was, like I said, so much mental abuse and so much doubt and so much going on that I couldn't do it anymore. And so I left, and that is when we were able to then grieve for my mother because we didn't even have a chance to do that beforehand. And that's what I then transitioned my whole business to in regards to helping women entrepreneurs. Is that is why, because of the fact that my mother had dealt with this abuse, and I wasn't able to help her. But now, going through that, I want to be able to empower women to grow their business and know that they can do it, and support them in the best way that I can, which is through marketing, which is what I'm good at. So that's our whole mission, is just to empower them to grow the business of their dreams.
Desiree, first of all, let me say that I'm deeply sorry to hear about the loss of your mother. I can't imagine how difficult that would be. Our mothers are very special to us, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then to have to be in a situation where you face that abuse yourself, and had to care for your two brothers. I mean, that is really, it's exceptionally courageous
Thank you.
for
Thank
you
you.
to step out of that and say, I'm taking you two with me and take that responsibility. I mean, you're still just a young woman. Um, so I really want to spend a moment and just celebrate your courageous heart because
Thank
that's really beautiful. I'm so touched by that story, and I genuinely appreciate you sharing that because what I know about this show is that someone is going to listen and they're going to hear your story and they're going to see a reflection and it's going to touch them and it's
you.
going to give them hope and it's going to give them that empowerment. So you just bravely sharing that story is 100% going to touch someone else. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that here. I'm super grateful for that. And what an incredible journey you've been on to create your business, to sustain it. And what a beautiful, beautiful mission you have.
Thank you.
I mean,
It
helping women grow their businesses is an incredible adventure, isn't it?
it really is. And I was helping small businesses, but I felt like with my mother's passing, it really gave me a whole new outlook in life
Mhm.
and and really a new passion in my business. Before we were just aiming towards helping small businesses, but now we can really speak to women because that is that is who we want to help. And it inspired, like even with her passing, it inspired my business and it
Wow.
created such a huge impact on me, which then I can now impact others. And it's kind of like she was the reason behind that.
What a beautiful gift she left you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what that's an incredible legacy that she gave to you and that now you're sharing with a whole bunch of other female founders who need your help, who need your guidance, who need, someone to empower them just a little bit to be more courageous, to be more I don't know, like just to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. I really love that and I share that passion for helping female entrepreneurs too
Mhm.
build I mean my objective is to help them sort of build their own leadership so they can grow a really great team, but
Mhm.
ultimately you and we are on the same trajectory when it comes to helping these women create really successful, really empowered, really beautiful businesses that have incredible ripple effects in our communities, don't
Yeah.
they?
Absolutely. And when I found that when we help women entrepreneurs, it definitely does create that ripple effect where,
Mm,
they not only, like us as women, we have the power to recreate and have and maintain like the household and be able to
yeah,
um, inspire our children because, my mother was the person that I looked up to, and I'm sure that's the same case with many others, is,
sure.
your mother is the first person that you see, that you love the most um and you admire and you idolize. And so by empowering women, you are then empowering their kids. And being able to create that ripple effect is so amazing. It's so great to be able to inspire that in women and let them know that they're badasses. They can create the
Yeah.
life of their dreams and it's possible. Like I feel like when I was growing up, becoming an entrepreneur, my dad was was very nervous for me. He was like, it was, you know, social media definitely is still new.
Yeah.
And so like people still don't really grasp it sometimes. And so the people who do, they get it. And then the people who don't, they're like, oh, do a newspaper, do a commercial, like that's our marketing. And so my parents were just very traditional. They were like, go to school, that is going to be your way to success. And so um for many women, they sometimes have that still in the back of their mind, is like, maybe I should go back to my 9 to 5. Maybe creating 6 figures, 7 figures is really not in my path.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just go back to school and get a degree and hopefully get a raise in like 10, 15 years. And it's like there's so many other options, especially now with the technical age that we're in,
Yeah.
that that proves that there's more to life, and we can not only create those big 6, 7 figure like years, but also at the same time be able to spend time with our family and not have to request vacation days and just, take days off and be with your family on the weekends and see your kids grow up and go to their soccer games and be a part of the PTA meetings that your children have and do all those things and travel the world and still maintain a business. And
Yeah,
it's so possible.
it totally is. And I love that you said that because I talk with my clients a lot about work-life blend, not balance. I don't believe in work-life balance. I think
Mhm.
that's bullshit. I think it's a myth. No
Yes.
sooner do you have everything perfectly balanced and lined up than the dog poops and the kids
Yes.
barking and and a vendor calls and your shipment's gonna be late. But I do believe that there's an opportunity to create blend
Mhm.
and that we can, to your point, create really beautiful, powerful, impactful, successful businesses.
Mhm.
We can do that. Desiree will help you with your social. But we can also do that by building really great empowered, like we can create great spaces for other people to work and we can impact our family. But if we have 12 employees, we can impact 12 families. If we
Yes.
if we do it right, if we do it right, if
Mhm.
we embrace our own leadership, if we embrace our own voice, if we are really confident and comfortable in those spaces, then we can help other people embrace that. And I think that that's a really powerful message. And hey, you know what? Get a degree. I mean, you and I, we've got our there's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you have to limit yourself. Now, I know lots of people have really great successful careers, but girl, if you're going to work at a 9 to 5 job,
Mhm.
ask for that raise. Talk about that promote. Like there's lots of ways to be empowered here, but yes, building and growing your own business can be
Absolutely.
really fulfilling.
Yeah, and I feel like I think the thing that really stuck with me is that, and I think that's the one thing that I don't agree with traditional, like, going to school is that it's not one way. It's
No,
like there's so many different ways to become
so
successful,
many.
so many ways to get to have the best of both worlds, And
Yeah.
I feel like before it was just, there's only one path to success and this is the way that you gotta do it and
Yes.
it's how you gotta achieve it and you gotta do this and this and this. And now there's so many ways to have the dream life that you want. And really when I say your dream life, I mean it looks different for everybody. Somebody who might want to go to school, they just don't want to work on the weekends. Well, there's a career out there that allows you to be able to have the weekends off. And then there's other people who they want to do different things. So whatever success looks like to you, there's so many ways to like really accomplish that. Just got to think outside the
100%.
box and really figure out the route for you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And what I would add to that is just be clear about what that is that you really care about.
That is so key.
What do you really truly deeply value?
Hmm.
Why is that important to you? And how do you do that every single day? How do you live that? What are the behaviors? If you're really clear about that, then it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to find satisfaction and joy and pleasure and you're going to be able to create that awesome life that you want. But you got to be super clear on what it is that's most important to you so you can go and get more of that. That's what I talk to all of my clients about. What do you value the most and why? Why is that important?
Yes.
That then you can craft the life that you want. And certainly Desiree and I are all about being entrepreneurs and building our own businesses, but you're right, that's not for everybody, is it?
No, for sure. Yeah. It's whatever it looks like to you. And there's many ways that it can change, it can look different. I think the importance of, like you said, is finding what it is that you want to accomplish, truly what your mission in life is. And
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong answers to this. It's up to you and what you feel that you want to do with your life. Um, and then creating a path to create that for yourself.
100%.
And yeah, there's different ways to do it and it's possible. It's just you gotta I think what happens is sometimes we get on social media where we see our friends do different things and their path is completely different than ours, but it might, you know,
The FOMO, right? We all have
yeah,
it. We all have the FOMO.
where it's like, dang, maybe I should have done that, or maybe I should have done this. I think that if we just remove those distractions, it would be a lot. easier. And of course, it's not realistic to not ever be
Yeah.
on social, but I think just reminding ourselves, having that little gentle reminder, whether you have it on your computer or your phone, the little reminders of what your goal is, and having that set to so that you can see it every single day is going to really help you, like, set you up for success, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love all of that. Um, I want to ask you next about where you've made some mistakes or screwed it up, Desiree, and what you've learned from those things.
Oh my gosh, I'm still young, so I feel like I have a lot more things to experience and a lot more to learn. But I feel like the biggest one for me was understanding that my ego is going to constantly take a hit.
Mm.
And being able to balance like my ego, and learning like what that balance looks like, because of course you want to be confident, you want to make sure that you know your self-worth, but also at the same time, you want to understand that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And one of my mentors, she actually told me that we as humans will like always make mistakes. And the one thing is that it's important that we take ownership, and realize how we react and continue to learn to use those mistakes as growth opportunities. And I feel like that is so important because I was young and I'm still young, and I feel like sometimes I know it all, but I've learned that's so impossible to know every single thing, and is so ridiculous. So that, so those times where I made those mistakes, I'm like, dang it, I should have known better, or I know that this like was going to happen. I should have done this better. But now, so embracing those mistakes and now using them as tools to realize, oh, okay, well, that was a mistake. I own it. I did that. Now, what am I going to do differently so that I don't make the mistake again? And what did I learn from that mistake is really what's most important. Now, I'm not afraid to make mistakes anymore. Before I was, because I wanted to be like, oh, I want to be seen as an authority speaker or an authority leader, but I can't make mistakes, because if I make mistakes, then I'm gonna remove that title from myself. Like, and personally in my head, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Being able to now say, you know what, I want to make the mistakes and I want to make them as soon as I can, so that I know what not to do and I can use them as learning opportunities.
Yeah.
And that was like a big shift that I did for myself. Also, you know, like I said, learning that I don't know everything and being okay to accept help sometimes, especially like with people in my industry. I was nervous to ask about like what methods they were doing, because I felt like, well, if you are an expert, like you say you are, then you should know, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that was a huge learning curve for me too, because like I said, we don't know everything. And I felt like when we asked for help or even collaborated with more people in my industry, it opened up the discussion. And I felt that, and also not only felt, but I also saw that more people were more open to ask me questions and get help. And, you know, we could go back and forth and be like, oh, well, you know what, like this worked for me, maybe that'll work for you. And then them saying, hey, this did work for me. I think this is like the new thing that's going to be trending and stuff like that. It just allowed for more like collaborative,
Yeah.
like of a community, and also being able to talk about things with other people, and get other insights, because when you're by yourself and you're just listening to yourself, it's hard to actually take yourself away from like that industry and really see any other viewpoints, because you're only seeing yourself, you're only hearing yourself, and you are only getting your perspective when there's many other perspectives that need to be heard as well.
Totally. And that is definitely a real tricky part, especially for many of us. We start out as solopreneurs. You know, we might have a VA, we might have a couple contractors that we send a little work to, but realistically, it's just us. And you're
Mhm.
right, we get in our heads. And I know, you know, just from working with so many female entrepreneurs, that critical inner voice, I call it the saboteur. That's that voice that's like, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or geez, how could I screw that up? And how could I be so stupid? And nobody want, you know, the imposter syndrome we talk about. I mean, that's part of it, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not, it's easy to get in your head when you're a solopreneur. And you're right. Asking for help is really hard.
Mhm.
I'm terrible at it. Like, to be perfectly
Yeah.
full disclosure, I am rotten at asking for help and being vulnerable like that. And what beautiful lessons to offer the audience that you've learned pretty early on, that it's important. It's important to do those things.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, as a solopreneur too, like you don't have to hire a team in order to get that sense of help. If you just have people within the same industry, friends, colleagues that you consider, people who would know the answer to it, just really just ask. And it's crazy because it's like you're scared to ask because you don't want to get any judgments, but 9 times out of 10, the people that you, look up to are more than willing to give you the answer if you just ask. And that's something that I had to deal with, like, working on myself and being able to I mean, I had this big ego. I'm like, "No, I don't wanna ask for help. I don't wanna ask for help." And it's like, now I'm like, "Hey, I'll ask this question, and if you have the answer, great, and if you don't, do you know anybody who does?" And,
Right?
like, they'll steer me in the right direction, and
Yeah.
it's great. It's a beautiful thing, especially now with, like, entrepreneurship. I feel like there's more so, a lot of communities that you can join
Yes.
that they'd be more than happy to share, like, what they know and help you grow your business.
I think you're right. I mean, that's one thing COVID did, is it connected us online in new and different ways. I know, I mean, I have some incredible, as a coach, I always work with my own coach. I think that's really important. Shameless plug, you are working in your business by yourself. Having a great coach can be really, really valuable. Find a
Mhm,
good one, find one that fits.
mhm.
But having a network, having some business besties, even if
Yes.
they're not necessarily in the same industry, but they're people that you can bounce some ideas off of. Having a great mentor, someone who has already been down that path, those are
Mhm.
great ideas, great suggestions, and I think can be really valuable if you are a solopreneur and you're really trying to do it all by yourself. You don't have to, is the short,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that's like the number one tip is like you don't have to do things alone. There's so many resources out there. I mean, social media in itself, you can find people that you're looking to get questions about on
Yeah.
certain topics depending on, and you can find them as easy as with a hashtag. So it's, all these unlimited resources available at the tip of our fingers. It's just we just have to be willing to ask.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. So we're going to transition now. We're going to talk about Desiree's leadership style, and she's taken my leadership style quiz. And if you want to know what your leadership style is, you want to compare with what Desiree's going to talk about a little bit, go to the show notes. There's a link. Go to the website, highvoltageleadership.ca. There's a little button that says take the quiz. Takes just a couple minutes. It's really fun. It's really easy. You're going to learn something a little bit about yourself and your leadership style. I'm going to give you some of my best leadership tips you can implement right away. And then you can join the conversation on Instagram by following Desiree and I. But tell us, Desiree, what was your leadership style? What'd you get out of that quiz?
So my leadership ship style was coaching, which I thought was super neat. But I completely understand it because when I hire any new team members, I don't like to micromanage. In fact, that's one of the things that I hated when I was working at a 9 to 5 is being micromanaged. So I'm more so kind of like, here is what I need done, empower you to do it. And if you don't understand, I'm here to help answer any questions. And I love inspiring others and inspiring them to ask questions so that I can help them go throughout like whatever they're doing. Because a lot of the people that I hire, they are contractors and a lot of them are solopreneurs, like they're trying to do their own thing and grow their business. And so I love it when they're able to come to me with questions and I can help them with it. And if not, then I'm like, hey, here's a friend who I know who I want to connect you with that can help you. So I think that it definitely fit like what I do in my teaching style and how I just work in my business.
I love that. I love that. And having a very coach-like approach to our leadership, empowering people, guiding people, asking brilliant questions so that they really have to think through what that ends up doing is just growing more leaders. We just
Yeah.
we just help them embrace their own personal leadership. And so I love that a lot.
Yes, and one thing that I always strive for is that to be able to empower them to make their own decisions and not micromanage them, but also at the same
Mhm.
time um be able to put the level of responsibility on them so that they can achieve what they want to achieve. I feel like when we hinder and we prevent them from tackling on certain things in our business because we feel like only ourselves can get it done, we're not giving them the power to be able to prove to them, not only themselves, but to you as a business owner, that they can do this and they can
Right.
achieve more than what you expected out of them. And I love giving people responsibilities so that they can achieve it.
I love that. And a lot of the business owners that I work with, particularly on the consulting side, they struggle with that because they're at an inflection point in their business where they have maybe a team of 10, 15, 20 people, and
Mhm.
the business is growing and needs to grow, but they actually like they can't do it all anymore. They
Yeah.
literally can't get all their fingers into all the pies basically and sleep, right? Like there's not enough hours in a 4-hour day.
Yeah.
And so if you are not as a leader and as a business owner in that space of empowering, in that space of coaching, enabling the people that work with you and for you, at a certain point, you really are at great risk of burnout and your
Mhm.
business will not continue to be. And so this is, I mean, I'm preaching the converted here, but
Yeah.
this is sort of the message is like, you really have to embrace a more coach like approach
Mm.
because you can't do it all. And you need people that can be accountable and can
Yes.
find solutions and can create even when you're not there to do it or to inspire. Like they need to have some ownership. And when you're a coach in your leadership, you create that in others. So I just love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's like you created your business so that you can be a business owner, not so that you can be a contractor within your business. Like you
Beautiful
have to
said.
give people
Yes.
you gotta trust people, and I feel like a lot of times too, what I see is that they are scared to give too much work to people because they feel like they're going to take their secrets and they're going to then use it in their business and they're gonna leave and they're going to do all these things. But the thing is that if you treat them with respect and you really allow them to be able to be empowered by
Yeah.
your work and everything. It whether they do that or not, I mean, that's going to happen regardless. You can't stop the future. If that's what was meant to be, I mean, that's what was meant to be. Um, but I think that you really are doing yourself a disjustice when you don't empower them because you're I mean, at the end of the day, there's no real secrets in the
Yeah.
world. Everything is Google, like being able to be like either seen on Google or a YouTube video that has already been created on that or blogs. There's so many ways to get the answers to what they really need. And so I think that just not being scared to teach people and giving them the responsibilities that you have maybe right now that you're scared to give away because you feel like either they won't do it right or they're going to take that information and use it in their business and give it to other people. I mean, like I said, you got to be able to trust people, and I think that's super important when growing your business is being able to. I mean, if you don't trust the people that you're hiring, what are you doing?
What'd you hire them for?
Yes, exactly.
It,
um
for real. It's just that simple. If you don't trust
yeah,
them to do the work and do it well, and also do it with integrity, then you've
mhm,
hired the wrong person. And you
yes.
need to review your hiring, your recruitment strategy and process. Call me. I can help you with that.
Yes.
Um, but like for real, that I think that's a great point. You've hired the wrong person, and that's on you, not
Mhm.
on them.
Yeah, you can't be mad at them. No, it's like
No.
you did this to yourself at that point.
That you know what? I mean, I think that's really important to say. I think that in fact is really empowering. Like ultimately, all of this is about, taking a close look at yourself. Look inward. whether
Mhm.
it's your leadership in your journey and why you're doing what you're doing. What is it that you want to create? All of this, the whole message here, and I just love it, is like, this is all about you. And if
Yes.
you don't sort of have your own house in order, if you don't have a firm grip on who you are and what is important to you, then it's going to be really hard to do all the rest of this stuff. So do that work. Do that work first. Love it.
Yes. Absolutely.
Desiree, this has just been such a treasure to talk to you today. Thank you again for sharing so bravely with us. Thank you for this beautiful, bold discussion. I'm so grateful I get to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It was so great being able to talk to your community and hopefully inspiring them. But at the end of the day, having this conversation that I feel like a lot of people don't want to have is taking responsibility for ourselves and our actions and being a true leader. So thank you again so, so much. It was great speaking with you.
Oh, it was absolutely my pleasure. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I sure hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did hosting this conversation. And if you did enjoy today's episode, would you do me a favor? Would you give the episode a 5-star review and share it with all of your friends? I would really appreciate that. I've got a goal to impact 1,000 female founders, and with your help, we can really amplify this message. Thanks again for being a part of the show, and don't forget to connect with me and all of my guests on Instagram at High Volt Leadership. We'll see you next Friday.